Hello, and welcome back to the sixth and final episode of Renting an Old Haunted Cottage. So, if you're new around here, hello, my name is Katie. I have 5 episodes of this exact thing. So, if you're interested, feel free to go back and watch all 5 episodes. But if you're somebody who has watched them and you've been waiting patiently, then of course I bring it to you on the spookiest day of the year. So let me start off by saying happy Halloween to absolutely everybody that is listening to me right now. I hope you either have a great party if you're partying, or you just have a nice little spooky night in watching some scary stories or listening to things like this. So, as I said, this will be the final episode, and within this final episode, there is something that I'm going to share with you that I have not wanted to this entire time. And it's because it is the biggest thing that happened in the house, and it involves something myself and John clearly cannot explain, but I don't want people to get the wrong idea about it. So this is why I've left it to the end of the series so that you can understand the journey of what we have been through, especially with the type of spirit that we feel was connected and attached to John, who was trying to get to me. Hopefully, I've conveyed that enough throughout all of the stories and things that have happened for you to understand that this is kind of what we were dealing with, and it led right the way up to an incident that happened, which I'm going to save for the very end as the finale. But don't just skip towards the end because obviously there's a few stories in between. But this is a trigger warning, I suppose. And I don't really want to say that, right? But like, I suppose I have to just in case. But it's not. Oh, it's so hard to explain. Like, oh, mate, this is why I haven't wanted to talk about this one. So I don't even know how it's going to go in the end because, again, I don't script my videos, as you can see. I'm sitting here just talking to you off the bat. Um, so we'll see how it goes. But please bear in mind that when I do get to the final story, I will tell you if you don't want to listen, then don't, basically. So, with that being said, please make sure that you go and get your snacks and your beverages, pause the video, come back when you're ready, and we will get into the final episode of Renting an Old Haunted Cottage. Right, so there has been a lot that has happened that I have spoken about, but there's also been like little things that have happened, like little noises and things like that, right? And I've always said there's never been any doors opening, closing, never seen any light switches going on or off, and I've never seen anything move. So, as far as I'm concerned, and I said to John, as far as I'm concerned, we do not have a poltergeist in our house. We may have a nasty spirit, but I don't feel that she has the power or whatever has the power to even do these things, right? Because we haven't really witnessed it. But there were like just little things that we would see. And there was one time that John told, like, this is like so random, right? And this is how you know, like, you can't make this shit up. Like, I don't know if I'm past 30 seconds, but yeah, you can't make this shit up. So where me and John lived, as you would see, I think it was episode 2 or 1, I can't remember now, but in one of the episodes, I showed you the actual cottage, right, in question that we lived in for 5 years. And what you couldn't see though is the back of the cottage, but it had a flat roof. And if you don't know what a flat roof is, basically it's exactly what it says on the tin. So you'd open a window and the roof was flat because we had an attachment to the house, which was like a little shed type thing. So there was a flat roof that went across, and you were able to open the window and literally walk on that flat roof, right? And we had neighbors who had kids. So very often we would have the kids walking up and down on the roof. Now, bear in mind, I did tell you and showed you that the landlords lived 2 minutes walk behind us. the amount of times that they would be coming down the road in their little Range Rover, and I'd be like, the kids are outside on the fucking roof, and they would know. And obviously, my neighbour would be told, stop your kids running on the roof, because it's dangerous at the end of the day, right? You could fall through because it wasn't, it's an old house, right? It's an old house. So they were just doing their due duties and obviously not wanting to repair anything if the kids destroyed it. So they were told, do not run on the roof. And I make this point because it is prevalent to this specific experience that John had. So I've never seen this, but I know he has been very sensitive to certain things. So this came after the UFO experience, which I spoke about in the previous episode, I believe. So this has come after the UFO experience. So my friend who was there, obviously, that spare room that my friend was sleeping in on that UFO night is one of the rooms that is also available to get out of through the window on the flat roof. So we would have to go out of our bedroom through that spare bedroom in order to get to our wardrobe, walk-in wardrobe thing. And as you were walking past the spare room to get to the walk-in wardrobe, the window was on your left-hand side. And so I make this clear because you can see the flat roof when you look out the window. And so John told me one day that he had this super weird experience of seeing shadows running across as he was going to get like something out of, he had a shower, goes upstairs, goes to get his clothes, right? And he was like, I saw these like 3 foot shadow imps, is the word he used. He called them imps, and he said they ran past the window super quick, but I saw it out of my peripherals. And obviously, by the time he'd looked, they were gone. He goes, "I saw that they were these shadows." And I was like, "What about the kids?" Like, obviously, your first thought, logistically, what about the kids? They weren't in. So the thing with our neighbours, I have said it before, but the thing with our neighbours is that that wasn't the only house that she stayed in. She was separated from her husband, but not really. So her husband owned an 8 bedroom farmhouse. She was renting this house, but her and her kids just stayed at the farmhouse. Like, they weren't really that separated. I don't even know why they got the spare house, but it's none of my business. But the whole point is the fact that the kids were hardly there. She was never there. And in this particular day, no one was at the house next door. I also was downstairs. Like, it wasn't me. I don't go around running on the fucking roof. Do you know what I mean? But he said it so casually, right? He said it so casually, like, it's just, that's what happened. And this is because we had got so used to things happening by now, right? I told him about noises. So there's another thing that used to happen is that it's so weird. We would be going to bed, right? And it would only ever happen when John had gone to sleep. And it was just a very, very subtle, like a little knock. It wasn't a click, it was a knock, right? But I can't make the sound loud enough. Like, I don't know whether I don't know how loud that comes across, but it was just a very, and it would always be at different times because he didn't go to sleep at the same time every night, right? Because your logical thing is, oh, it's something in the house, it's going to, or whatever. Nah, mate, it happened or every night. It was almost as if he was being like, night, or whatever it was. I don't know what it was, but every single night, whether it was 10 o'clock he fell asleep, 10:30 he fell asleep, 11, 1, 9 p.m. He never heard it. This is the annoying thing, right? He never heard it. So when I was telling him, yeah, yo, there's this noise that like I hear every single night once you've gone to sleep. It's within 5 minutes of you going to sleep, bro. Like, and it happens at different times, but every single night. And he hadn't experienced that, but believed me. So when he told me about this imp experience, I just believed him because these things are happening. These things are happening to us separately and together, as I've spoke about in the previous stories, especially with having witnesses like Jeremy come over. So all well and good, he's seen imps, right? Cool, whatever. It's just one of them things now. But there has been a time that I remember, and this is a funny one, so make sure you're not drinking when I speak about this because you might laugh and spit it all out. But in one of my videos, I showed you a photo of my friend's hands And I captured, as I was asking her passed over partner, kind of weird situation thing, but she loved him, right? I was asking Alan to come in, to fly. I think I said fly into Claire's hands. I think that's what I said, fly. I don't even know why I said that, but I said fly into Claire's hands. And I was snapping pictures at that exact time. And you saw in my picture that I clearly captured what you could only describe as a light orb literally coming into her hands. And I didn't see that either in real life or on the camera. It was only once we had taken the photo that it showed up. However, there is a time where Alan had passed, and it was very recently as well. It must have been about a week. It wasn't very long at all. This is why I think it was Alan. And myself was just, it's so weird to talk about, but I'm just gonna like be genuine. This is exactly what happened, right? So I'm sitting down on the floor, back against the sofa, and John has just come out of the shower. And one thing you must know about John is he's extremely comfortable in his own body, which is great. I loved it because he could do things, what I'm about to tell you, with full confidence, right? And so at this specific time in our lives, we were practicing, or not even practicing. We were looking into Wiccan and pagan and that kind of like spirituality, right? And I specifically remember, and he will as well, that we were playing some Wiccan type music in the background. It was on the old Amazon Alexa. That's a little trick, by the way. If you don't want to set her off, you say Amazon Alexa and it won't go off. So we had that playing, and it was something like, all nice and all like mystical and everything like that. And there became a time in the song. That it was like boom, boom. And John thought it was hilarious to strut into the living room with his towel around him, fling the towel off, start dancing around the room to the Wicca music. I am in hysterics. I'm in hysterics watching him do this, right? All like this. When it got to the point that it went bomb, bomb, he thrusted twice. And I, like I say, was in hysterics watching him do this. And as I'm completely in hysterics, laughing my ass off, crying with laughter because it's so funny, because he's so confident in what he was doing. And it's just so funny. You can imagine it, right? You just imagine it, boys being boys, doing dude things. And he was doing it. And as he was doing it and went boom, boom, I was kind of, oh my God, I just saw an orb. And in clear daylight, I literally saw what I can only describe as probably Alan floating behind him as he went bomb, bomb. Like, what the I can't even imagine it. Like, and it was daylight. Like, these things, this is what I mean, right? Paranormal. I personally, side note, don't really believe in the 3 a.m. thing. Okay, because I have experienced so much shit during the day. Bear in mind, time's not real anyway. Sorry. So really, 3 a.m. isn't 3 a.m. to them. Time isn't real. So stop telling me that 3 a.m. witching hour. No. I've seen enough things during the daytime to tell you it doesn't matter what time of the day. Right? You can have an experience. You can see things. You can witness things. You can feel things throughout any time of the day. Doesn't matter. So when I saw this, I just immediately stopped laughing, and he then stopped, obviously was like, what the fuck? And I was just like, I just saw an orb, like, what? I just saw an orb behind you, like. And then obviously he went on to be like, I think it was Alan, like, what in the, and he goes, yeah, he's probably just laughing with me. And he was just so like blasé about it, but I was just like, I couldn't wrap my head around it, because that was actually the first time in my life that I'd ever seen a real, like I'm talking with my fucking eyes, right? Like actually seeing it in the actual, like I can't even describe it any more than literally seeing fucking materialize out of nowhere. When you see it, right, I don't even care about people being like, no, you didn't. I don't care what you think, because when you see it and other people don't believe you, you will still be like, I don't care what you think, right? So when you see something materialize out of nothing. And you see it come in, and it was an actual, like, this shape. Half of it was like translucent, right? Half of it was translucent, and it had this little tiny flecker, and it went like this behind him, but it never came back out like behind him, if that makes sense. So, like, if you can imagine it going, you seeing it but going behind me, but you don't see it come back out. That is what happened. I saw it go behind him, and oh my gosh. So I felt okay with this because I knew that Alan was around, right? He was around Claire, he was around us. So I felt completely at ease with this. And that's why I think one of the reasons, like, because if people ask, like, oh, why'd you stay in the house so long? Because we were there for 5 years, right? And people might ask, like, why'd you stay there for so long if, like, all this shit happened? And to be honest with you, I felt okay. Like, I felt at ease. Like, there was never any fear. I never felt like we were in danger whatsoever. Like, there was never, like I said, no poltergeist activity. There was good with what I was experiencing and John. But you did have this kind of other side to it, because the next story that I'm going to tell you is one that I can't explain any of this, but I'm hoping that someone might have had this experience as well, because when I tell you when I say the sentence blacker than black, darker than dark, some of you might understand what that means. And it was weird. So basically, I'm just sitting in bed, right? John's asleep. I'm just sitting in bed watching YouTube. So bear in mind, so I'd be sitting like this. This is a great example, actually. So let's say, for example, you're the TV, right? And then we'd be at that wall is where the bed is. He's on this side. I'm on the left-hand side. I have my laptop whilst watching the TV, right? So I got my laptop doing work or whatever whilst, like, watching the TV, whatever I was doing. He's asleep. Now, I don't even know. Like, I can't tell you the run up to it. So I'll just tell you what I saw, because there's nothing else to really say. Like, I'm watching TV, and then all of a sudden I see a square, like a dark square, moving on the wall. Like, so it, and it's so hard to explain this, but it's like, it wasn't the shadow of the TV, because the shadow was actually on the wall. This is that's what I don't like when I think about it. That's what I don't like. The shadow of the TV was already on the wall, and this motherfucking thing was like this big square mass of darkness. And I saw it move from the right over to the left, and it disappeared behind the TV. And I just remember a black square, because I remember telling John this, right? And this is important. I just remember a black square, and I tell you, it was blacker than, like, dark. Like, it was blacker than the shadow of the TV. How do you do that and move? Bear in mind, there's nothing behind me. Like, in case you're like, oh, there's something. No, there's nothing behind. It was just the bed against the wall, door closed, TV on, light protruding to me, casting a shadow onto the wall of the TV frame, onto the wall. But yeah, I saw something darker than that move like that way. The fact it moved, like, it moved from the right to the left, and, like, I sleep on the left, but I didn't. This is the thing, I didn't look up, right? I didn't look up. So since this has happened, me and John have spoken about it, and I don't know if what I saw was the same thing as what he had seen, because when I told him about it, he goes, oh, it's funny you should say that. And I said, why? He said, because I saw the Hat Man. And I went, what are you fucking talking about? And he went, yeah, this morning. I went, elaborate. And he's like, well, I came out the shower, and you know when I showed you the house, so we have to go up those stairs to go into our bedroom, past our bedroom, into the spare bedroom, into the walk-in wardrobe. So he said he got out of the shower, which was downstairs, by the way. So I know some people are like, why do you have to walk upstairs? So the bathroom was downstairs with the shower, and the only thing that was upstairs were the bedrooms. So he'd had a shower, he walked upstairs, he went in to go and get his clothes, he got changed. He said he walked back out, he went to walk down the stairs, and he said he felt something. He felt a presence behind him. And as he got down the stairs, he said he turned around, he looked up, and he saw this seven. Bear in mind, John was 6'2" and could barely. He had to duck under the doorways because it's a small cottage. He had to duck. He goes, this guy was about 6'7", and he was wearing a hat, dark shadow figure wearing a hat. And apparently he was already in such a like, ugh, can't be bothered mood. He literally told me, he turned around and he went, nah, not today, mate, can't be bothered. And he just spun around our little like banister bit where you went around the corner, and then went and just sat on the sofa and got to read in his news or whatever. So he goes to me, yeah, I saw like a figure, you know, this morning, or like whenever it was either last night. Yeah, it must have been. I think he saw it in the morning, then I saw the shadow figure at night. Because then when I told him about it, he then said, well, yeah, I'd seen that. I have always now wondered whether, because I didn't look up, right? I specifically remember, I don't even know how to like describe it to you. So imagine you're looking at the TV, yeah? Imagine you're looking at the TV. Yeah, this is the TV, okay? So this is your TV, and this is your wall, okay? When the shadow moved like this to behind the TV, my eyes were only looking at this part. I didn't look up here. So I've always thought, after all these years, what if it was a person? I didn't see that. Like, I thank fuck, I guess, didn't look up. Because if I'd have looked up and seen like this shadow dude, bro, I don't even know, mate. So this is what I'm saying. When I said, because I've said before, I've never seen shadow people. That's not a lie. I've not seen shadow people because it wasn't a person. It was a dark square. It was a dark square of mass, darker than dark, and it moved. Never seen any shadows by the bed that were people or anything, but this obviously was at the end of the bed. And the thing is, it came from the right as well. So I'm just like, oh, mate. And that's where the door was. Like, and I'm like, oh, did you walk in? Like, oh, I don't know. But anyway, that happened, which was one of the weirdest like things I've ever experienced. I will never forget it because of the way that it was darker than dark. Like it was. Again, I'm not going to go over it because it's just fucking weird. But that's what happens with that. Okay, so we have pretty much got to the finale. Like I said, there were little things that happened here, there, and everywhere, which is kind of what I've just touched upon earlier. And I'm gonna have to leave the entire series with the biggest thing that has happened to myself, which involves John. And this will be your trigger warning. If you don't want to listen to what happened, I don't even know how to put this. Like nothing. Well, again, I don't know how to do this. I've not scripted this. But if you don't want to hear about something that might trigger you into something, then like don't listen. In it, I can't. I can't. I'll put a thingy here when we're not talking about it anymore. It's going to be so much easier to just talk about it, and then you guys are going to understand how I wasn't able to articulate this. Okay, so are you ready? Are you ready for the biggest thing that ever happened in that house at all? Because this is a big thing, right? This is a big thing. I don't want you to get the wrong way, which is why I've tried to convey this as much as possible, okay? There was one night, I've told you before, that John would get very bad night terrors. I have never seen anybody other than John have night terrors, so I didn't really know what it was, but he'd had them in the past, and it's quite awful to see somebody go through something they're quite clearly in, again, terror, really. They're quite clearly in some sort of pain or panic, but because they're asleep, you can't do anything, right? So it's really just a hard one. But he didn't get them to the point where anything was sort of like worrying. Do you know what I mean? Um, until so, why is it so hard to talk about it? So I'm just gonna fucking say it, right? Basically, there was one night that he was having really bad night terrors, and remember, he lays on my right. Okay, super important information. I feel he lays on my right. I lay on this side on the left. Now I've always got my laptop on me while watching TV. Usually, I've usually got my laptop watching TV. And there was one night that he started having a night terror, but it seemed a lot worse than most of them that he'd had before, because he kind of wasn't coming out of it, if that makes sense. Like, he'd kind of squirm usually for like 30 seconds, be like, no, you know something's wrong, but it'd be like 30 seconds and he'd stop. Well, this time it was going on for longer than 30 seconds, and it's awful. It's awful to see, mate. Like, I don't know if any of you have ever either A, had night terrors, or B, have witnessed it. Fully grown man, 6'2", whimpering in his sleep. Heartbreaking, because you can't do anything about it. You don't know what's terrifying them, but something's going on, right? So this one time that he was having these night terrors, it got to the point where it was past 30 seconds, and I made note of this because I remember looking at him and being like, are you okay? In my head, obviously you can't fucking hear me, but I'm like, are you all right in my head? And as soon as I said that, he kind of calmed down a little bit. He kind of went like back again. And I was like, okay, cool, cool, cool. So I went back to doing what I was doing on the computer, watching the TV. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like, I'm going to have to like draw it because I can't really describe it. So let me draw this for you. So out of nowhere, from the left to the right, okay, it was this, and I know it's so small, but I've just drawn it like this. It's not an orb, okay? It was yellow. Okay, this is very, very important information. It was yellow. And it was this yellow ball, no bigger than, well, just like I've drawn it there. Like, it's tiny little ball, tiny little yellow ball. And it went, and I'm going to do a sound. It didn't make a sound, but I always do the sound just to try and show you how it went, right? That's how fast it went. And it went from left to right, and it went past my computer screen. Okay, so it wasn't this, it was right where I was looking. I saw that go from left to right, and it went from left past my laptop screen and landed on John. Yellow, left to right. And I thought, that's a bit weird. Did I see that? And you start like, contemplating your logic. Did I see that? What was that? But I'm pretty sure I fucking saw that, right? But just whatever. Things happen in this house all the time. Whatever. 5 minutes later, John starts having night terrors again. Pretty badly. So much so that I can feel the pain he is in, and it was breaking my heart to look over and see him go through that, and I'm fucking helpless. Like I said, when you see a 30-something-year-old man whimpering in his sleep because something's terrifying him, I don't care who you are, mate. That's not nice. So I'm having this massive feeling of, I need to do something, I need to do something, I need to do something. And so I know it sounds silly, but I'm just telling you as it is. This is exactly what I fucking did. I sat there, I closed my eyes, and I called in my angels. I called in all my guardian angels. I called in God. I called in all the good light that I fucking could. And I said, please go into his dream and help him with all of my might and all of my strength. Please use all of my guardian angels to go into his dream and go and save him. Please help him. Please help him. Please help him. And oh, I get shivers. Here comes the part. No quicker had I have been very much praying. Let's be honest, religious people would be saying this is praying. No quicker had I been saying, please help him, please help him, please help him. He went from laying down in bed, shaking his legs, shivering, screaming in night terrors, to going, waking up, looking me dead in the face and punching me straight in the mouth. Yep. I screamed. He woke up, immediately realised what had happened, hugged me and said, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I was mortified, obviously. This is a man who is so anti-violence, right? I have to make it clear to you. This is why I said this is a trigger warning. This man is so gentle. He is the person to be hit by someone else who's doing the fight to save someone else, right? Trust me, this guy is such a gentle guy. And when he punched me, I'd never been punched like that before, bear in mind. That's the first time. And I tell you what, I fucking took that shit. I'm sorry to be swearing, but I'm telling you, he punched me square in the jaw here. And when I say he woke up, right, and you already know what I'm going to say after this, right? But when he woke up, I specifically remember him going, looking at me like that, angry, and then going like this. And as soon as I screamed, he went like that. He wasn't aware of what happened until I screamed and woke him up. And then what happened, obviously, is that I went downstairs crying my eyes out. And I specifically remember doing this, looking up to the ceiling, me looking up to the universe, me looking up to my guides and everybody that I had just asked to help. And I said these words. I asked for help and he punched me. Those are my exact words. I asked for help and he punched me. So after things had calmed down and, you know, I'd fucking composed myself and he'd come downstairs and been like, what the fuck? I then proceeded to obviously tell him, you were having bad night terrors. And he was like, yeah, I know, it was that woman. His immediate words were, it was that woman and she was trying to get to you. And I said, oh, it gives me shivers. Oh. So then I said to him, oh, well, it's funny you should say that because basically I told him what was going on. You were having night terror. I couldn't look at you doing that. So I prayed, called in my guardian angels, and he went, that's what it was. He goes, she was angry at you. Like he was like, that wasn't me. Like he was trying to justify. And I was like, trust me. Like, babe, I know it weren't you. Trust me, right? Like, I know, yeah. And so the fact that he had told me it was her again and she was so angry at you, I'm like, is she angry because I had called in my angels to basically try and save him in this dream and it worked, right? So what happened the morning after was that I obviously remembered that hey, hold on a minute, I saw this like yellow thing and it went from left to right. It landed on you, like, and I told him that. I was like, I saw this yellow thing as well, by the way. It was like 5 minutes before like that happened, this yellow electric, and I said it wasn't an orb as well because I know the difference. It wasn't an orb, it was like an electric atom. Like, I can't even describe it, honestly. It was just like an electric ball of light that was yellow, and it went like this. And anyway, cut a long story short, I ended up doing a little tiny bit of research, and on that small bit of research it says that yellow is a warning sign. And I'm like, oh, 5 minutes before they warned me. Ah, I see. So that's what I got from that. And I've been so hesitant to talk about this because obviously it involves violence, but it's not what I want people to think. Do you know, I didn't want people to get the wrong idea. Do you know what I mean? Like, so this is why I've had to show everything what we've fucking been through to be able to portray this, because that was the biggest thing that's ever happened in my life. Ever. Ever. I have never witnessed the look on his face. Like, it was pure hatred. Like, I've never, that's not him. It wasn't him. He wasn't there in that state. I woke him up. I got him out of that state without even touching him. I literally sat there just doing this, please, please, please. And I was saying this out loud. I was like, please go and help. Please go in his dream. Please, please, please go and save him. Please help him. Please help him. Please help him. And it honestly was one of those last please help him that he was like, and I remember him going like that as well, like waking up with his eyes. It was like a fucking exorcist thing. Like, I know it sounds weird and like cliche, but legitimately, he literally was like, looked at me and went, bosh. And I'm like, ah. So, oh, that's the biggest thing that's ever happened. And I didn't want to talk about it, but it's true. It's true. So it's scary as hell that I always thought that I was safe. I always thought that I was safe because we'd got her out from the very start, right? If we go all the way back, we clapped her out. And that did work. She was only able to get to him in his dreams. It's just, you know what, right? I'm going to leave it with this because I don't want the video getting too long, but I've had years to think about this, okay? I moved out of the house in 2019. We're now in 2025. I've had years to think about this. I truly believe that she latched onto him probably because she liked him, didn't like me because I was with him. Because you get weird like women like that, don't you? And then also add to the fact that I am a very high vibrational being. And when you are a certain high vibrational being, lower vibrations can't touch you. Like, they can't touch you. You can't be affected by certain vibrations of the negative realm. And I truly do believe, because I'll be honest with you, I've said it before, but John was an alcoholic. He was a functioning alcoholic throughout the whole 7 years that I lived with him. When I was going through the voice notes, I had to find ones where he wasn't swearing or burping throughout the voice notes. You know, he's an incredible guy. I will never take anything away from him. However, he drank quite a lot. And when he drank, he was a lot more susceptible to this. And I do believe he was of a lower vibration. Love you, mate, but I do still think, I've said this to him as well, I do think he was at a lower vibration, and therefore he was a lot easier to be able to attack, if you will. And I was just, you weren't getting nowhere near me, mate. Like, do you know what I'm saying? I used to like visualize a light over our house at night. Like, legitimately, I would visualize a huge dome of light over our house. And that light was just a massive protection light against anything that would want to come in. You know, like, this is the sort of thing that I do. And so I feel like she didn't like the power I had. She didn't like that I was a high vibrational being. She didn't like that I was with John. And so she did these things to try and get to me. And that was the one time that she did, I suppose. Like, it was the one time that she actually got one in, mate. She actually got one in. But it never happened after that, by the way. Nothing ever happened after that. He barely even had night terrors after that, until he moved, and then he said that he still got some issues with her. So yeah, but I know we've come to the end of a saga here, and I appreciate if you're still listening to me, because I have some bonus I don't know, stuff to tell you. This whole season may be done, but I used to work in a arguably much more haunted place. It was a coaching inn for the, well, it was on the route towards Framlingham Castle, which basically was used as the like men that would come through and they'd stop off at this coaching inn. and I used to clean at that house. And I have a lot of stories that I could talk about in that house too, along with some footage. So if you're interested in that, then of course let me know down below. But I hope you enjoyed this series. It's great to be able to end it on Halloween, and I hope you've enjoyed this spooky season whole cottage thing.